Hello everyone, welcome back to Level Up. I am Priyanka and today we will continue with the chapter The Fundamental Unit of Life. This is part 2 of the chapter. For part 1 of the same chapter, please click on the link given below in the description box. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. So now, let us continue with the chapter. In the last video, we had stopped with learning what the plasma membrane was and learning the different tonicities, which are basically the isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic solutions. Now we shall continue with the other cell organelles. This organelle is specifically found in plant cells. It is the cell wall and is present in addition to the plasma membrane. It acts as a rigid outer covering and provides structural protection and support to the cell. It is mainly composed of cellulose. Sometimes a weird phenomenon takes place in these cells. When water is lost from the cells, the cytoplasm or the contents of the cell contracts and moves away from the cell wall. But the cell wall stays in the same shape regardless of the shape of the contents of the cell, and this prevents the bursting of the cell. This phenomenon is called as the plasmolysis. This is the process of plasmolysis. You may now pause the video to observe the changes that happens. Let us move on to the next cell organelle. It is the nucleus. It is sort of like the brain of the cell. It contains our genetic materials called the chromosomes. Chromosomes are made up of DNA and proteins. DNA consists of its functional unit called genes. Now, it is called the functional unit because it gives the information to the cell to secrete proteins. The importance of these proteins will be learnt in higher classes. Usually, as in a cell that is not going to divide for the time being, the DNA is present as a mass of chromatin material, which is basically an entangled mass of thread-like structures called chromatin fibers. Now, when the cell is about to divide, the chromatin fibers get separated into chromosomes, which are rod-like structures. We have seen this change happen in the last video. Since the chromosomes are vital for the existence of the cell, the nucleus plays a crucial role in the cell reproduction. The nucleus has a double-layered covering called the nucleus membrane. This covering has pores that allows the movement of materials in and out of the nucleus. The nucleus membrane also separates the contents of the nucleus from the rest of the cell. As you can see here, the light colored covering around the dark pink colored organelle is called as the nuclear membrane. Now, based on the presence of a well-defined nuclear membrane, the cells are divided into two classifications. We have the prokaryotes and we have the eukaryotes. Let us look at the prokaryotes. Pro refers to primitive and karyote refers to nucleus. Together they mean primitive nucleus, so they do not have a nuclear membrane. These prokaryotic cells do not have membranes for most of their other cell organelles too. Eukaryotic cells are basically the opposite of prokaryotic cells. They have a very well-defined nuclear membrane as well as a very well-defined membranes for each of their cell organelle. Let us move on to the next organelle, which is the cytoplasm. Now, the cytoplasm is the semi-fluid or sometimes fluid content within the plasma membrane. All the other organelles of the cell are suspended in this semi-fluid content. It is the cytoplasm that contains most of the specialized cell organelles. The next organelle we will be looking at is the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is a large network of membrane-bound tubes and sheaths. The membrane of the endoplasmic reticulum, which is also the outer covering of the endoplasmic reticulum, is very similar to the structure of a plasma membrane. Now, the endoplasmic reticulum is divided into two. We've got a rough endoplasmic reticulum, abbreviated to be the RER, and we also have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which is abbreviated to be the SER. Now this is the structure of an endoplasmic reticulum. Now this is the nucleus, and we also know that the endoplasmic reticulum is always present near the nucleus. Now we can see both the type of endoplasmic reticulums here. This is the small endoplasmic reticulum and this is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now what is the difference you can see between them? That is right. The rough endoplasmic reticulum have some blue spots on them and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not have that. Let us look at the reason. The rough endoplasmic reticulum. It is called rough endoplasmic reticulum simply because it looks rough under the microscope, and it appears so because it has tiny particles called ribosomes attached to it. The purple colored particles and the red colored particles in these images are the ribosomes. Now ribosomes are minute particles which are made up of RNA and some other proteins which together makes other proteins. Now we need to note that proteins are the food of the cell. Therefore, the site of protein manufacture in the cell is the rough endoplasmic reticulum because the ribosomes are only present in the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now, the proteins synthesized by the ribosomes or collectively by the rough endoplasmic reticulum are later on sent to various organelles depending on the need. Another function of the endoplasmic reticulum is to transport materials such as proteins from the cytoplasm into the nucleus and vice versa. Depending again on the need of the nucleus for more proteins, proteins transfer from the cytoplasm to the nucleus through the endoplasmic reticulum and they travel the other way around through the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now let us look at the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, also abbreviated to be the SER, does not have any ribosomes, which is why it appears smooth under the microscope. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in the manufacture of fat molecules, also known as lipids, which are very important for the proper functioning of the cell. The proteins formed by the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the lipids or the fat molecules formed by the smooth endoplasmic reticulum together help in the formation of cell membrane. This process of formation of the cell membrane is called as the membrane biogenesis. Other proteins and lipids act as enzymes and hormones, helping in regulating the processes that is happening all around the cell. Another important function of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is that the smooth endoplasmic reticulum detoxifies many poisons and drugs in the liver cells of vertebrates. The next organelle we are going to see is Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus is basically the system of vesicles or tubes that are arranged parallelly in stacks called cisterns. As you can see in the image, those two lines, which are also called as the vesicles and the tubes, are arranged parallelly, and this arrangement of the vesicles or tubes in a parallel manner forms the cisterns or the cisternae. This organelle, Golgi apparatus, gets its name from the scientist who first described it, Camillo Golgi. The Golgi apparatus is connected to the endoplasmic reticulum, which makes us think that it's got some relation to proteins and some relation to the function that the endoplasmic reticulum carries out, which is correct. The major function of Golgi apparatus is to pack the proteins which is synthesized by the rough endoplasmic reticulum in its own vesicles. Once the proteins are packed, the vesicles of the Golgi apparatus modifies it based on which organelle the protein is going to be sent to or which task it's going to be carrying out. And once this protein has been modified, the Golgi apparatus dispatches or sends these modified proteins into whichever organelle requires it the most. For example, the Golgi apparatus is the cell organelle that converts simple sugars to complex sugars. Another important function of Golgi apparatus is the involvement of forming another cell organelle called lysosomes. We will see more about lysosomes in the next part. Thank you. This was part 2 of the chapter, The Fundamental Unit of Life. For part 1 and part 3, please click on the link given below in the description box. Please share this video to anyone who you may think may be benefited from this video. Thank you, and I can't wait to meet you in the next video soon. Happy learning!